reconvene this Wednesday, June 15th session of the Board of County Commissioners. Ms. Mokryski, welcome today. We're going to continue on our agenda with item 10, which is an 11 o'clock time certain, and it's a public hearing, order 22-06-15-01, in the matter of approving an exemption from competitive bidding and authorizing the procurement by request for qualification of a design build contractor for the multi-use community facility and delegating authority to the county administrator to enter into the necessary agreements. In a moment, Mr. Mokryski, I'll ask you to introduce your panel. But first, I'm going to go through a script that has been prescribed for me, and that is item 10 on the agenda today under county administration is a public hearing and order 22-06-15-01 in the matter of the Lane County Board of Commissioners acting as a local contract review board in accordance with Lane Manual 20.200.130.d and ORS 279C, approving an exemption from competitive bidding and authorizing the procurement by request for qualifications of a design build contractor for the proposed. It says purposed. Is that the correct word, Sean? Proposed, thank you, for the proposed multi-use community facility and delegating authority to enter into the necessary agreements. Mr. Mokryski, at this point, I'll ask you to introduce your panel and begin item 10 on our agenda.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. We discussed this issue with you 2 weeks ago. This is a step in the process, and as the Commissioners talked about 2 weeks ago, you made it rather clear that this is not a foregone conclusion that this project will happen, but this is one of the items that needs to come forward because of the timing to allow for the process necessary to accomplish this project if ultimately the board decides that it will happen. So I'm going to turn it over to Lauren Blythe, our interim operations director, and Sean Waite, our facilities and capital project manager, to walk through this item with you.
Welcome, Mr. Blythe. Welcome, Ms. Waite.
So Chair,
pardon me, Ms. Mokryski, I think my script didn't include one particular element, and that is we will be entertaining public comment today. If there is public comment present, we'll entertain that first, followed by any that may be signed up online following the staff presentation. Thank you.
Correct. Yeah. So we'll do the staff presentation. We have one person that's signed up here, and I'll give that to you, Chair. We'll do the staff presentation and then the public comment.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chair and Commissioners. Thank you for having us. As directed by the board on May 24th, staff continue to perform due diligence activities as it pertains to the feasibility of the multi-use community facility at the Lane Event Center with Eugene Emeralds as the anchor tenant. The matter before you today is itself part of that due diligence and a required step by Oregon revised statute and Lane Manual. Before turning it over to Sean, I'd like to cover a few of those activities that have taken place since the 24th. We have, as indicated on the 24th, we have actually engaged with a local planner for land use requirements and traffic impact analysis. We've initiated a geotechnical assessment. Site survey discussions have begun. An environmental assessment was already underway and is at or near completion. And very importantly, we have engaged with or are about to engage with a local community engagement firm to help with public outreach and communications after reviewing several options around. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Sean Waite for the matter at hand.
Thank you, Chair Farr and Commissioners. Today we are here to seek board adoption of the state findings, which you will find attached to your packet and in the materials today. Staff is also asking for approval of an exemption to the public improvements contracting method for the proposed multi-use community facility and allow staff to select a design build contractor for the design and construction of the facility. The normal procurement process for a public improvements project is that we first go out for an RFP for an architect. They complete the design and a general cost estimate, and then staff invites people to submit bids, and contractors submit bid for the construction, and it's awarded at low cost. So, however, concluding conversations with Lane County staff, leadership, our consultants, and the Emeralds, it was determined that a progressive design build contracting method would be the most appropriate selection process for this project. Given the unique nature of the facility and that Lane County has not constructed a facility similar in nature, we believe that a progressive design build will be the most efficient and cost-effective means for construction. Under the procurement rules, staff is required to compile proposed findings in support of an exemption. We have completed that work and posted them for public consideration. And we've also posted a notice of the public hearing and also our findings in the Daily Journal of Commerce, the state procurement system, which is Oregon Buys, and also Lane County procurement website. A list of the full findings, as I have stated, is in the materials presented today. However, I'd like to summarize a few of those findings. We identified that there's a potential for substantial cost savings through the integration of a design and construction team into a single contract. The project will better be able to respond to public input and control costs by determining the most cost-effective method. Additionally, value engineering will decrease the cost of the project as there'll be fewer change orders as the construction contractor will be part of the design process. We will also be able to identify in advance any design flaws, clear up any miscommunication or misinterpretation of design, and address all those issues up front so that there are not change orders down the road through the construction process. Additionally, Hillsborough has implemented this procurement process for their stadium with the Hops. And at this point, everything has gone very well and has realized some cost savings through those efficiencies of combining the contract and integrating the design and the construction contractor. If approved, staff will conduct a nationwide solicitation for a request for qualifications for contractors to explain their technical expertise in the design and construction of a multi-use community facility. This will include amenities of a ballpark as well. This process will allow the selection criteria to take into account the expertise as well as the cost, and not just the low bid, which is typically required in a design bid build project. Once the county selection committee has identified a short list from the request for qualifications, staff will then invite contractors to submit a proposal, at which point a design builder will be selected. The board packet says that we will be back in August to present the selected contractor. We're revising that. It won't be until mid-September, but I would like to reiterate that we would not enter into a contract or commit any funds without board approval. So in September, mid-September, late September, we will be back in front of the board to say that we have gone through the selection process. A contractor has been identified, and then we will be looking to you for next steps. If the board elects to go ahead and approve the contract and we start working towards the design, there is always that option for the county to terminate the contract prior to discussion or prior to construction in case there is something identified through the design process that is not going to meet the county needs as we move forward.
Thank you for the presentation, Mr. Blythe and Ms. Waite. Ms. Mark-Ricey, anything further?
Just as we talked about yesterday with their strategic plan, I just was reviewing here, and I'd point out that under vibrant communities, this process is consistent and this item is consistent with the board's strategic priority of vibrant communities and the specific objectives to evaluate a multi-use community facility with the Eugene Emeralds, including a comprehensive financial analysis and best practices and a community engagement plan. That's all.
Thank you, Ms. Mokrowski. Then I'm going to move into the public comment, the public hearing, and bear with me just 1 second as I step back here. Before I step into that, I'll mention you see 4 county commissioners in front of you right now. Commissioner Burney is excused absent for this agenda item. So we'll move forward at this point. I'll move forward with the public hearing and open the public hearing. Do I have anyone present in Harris Hall for comment? If so, can you bring the sign-up sheet forward, please? Thank you, Mr. Mokrowski. Following the in-person comment, I will call on Ms. Jones to handle a queue for anyone who may be signed up online. Today we have Stephen Honeycutt. Excuse me, I abbreviated your name, Steve. Mr. Honeycutt, would you step to the mic and present your public comment? Generally 3 minutes, but I'm going to grant a little bit of latitude beyond that should you go over a few moments. Mr. Honeycutt.
I support this. I've been going to M's games since 1966, and this is family affordable entertainment. And what I'm seeing right now is that the county needs money in order to maintain their parks and everything, and this stadium is going to solve that problem or help solve the problem. And the way I see it is this: the stadium is being put together by the Emerald Sports Group. They're the ones coming out front with most of the money. And the county is going to have this stadium where they can do whatever they want with it. And then the M's are going to turn around and lease it from this, lease this stadium. And so therefore you have generated funds. When you take a look at the M's, especially under Allen now being in charge of the M's for the past 10 years, very much involved in the community, much more so than under B-Ban or anybody else who ran the M's. Once Allen stepped into the picture, his staff is out there supporting this community in many, many ways. So they're very positive for us. The fairgrounds is getting run down. You're going to need funds in order to maintain the fairgrounds unless you want to go the route of Civic Stadium, and I don't think you want to go that route. So therefore, you're going to have funds in order to do it. I've lived in this town since '64, and in the '60s, the fairgrounds was very, very active year round. It isn't today. You put the stadium in here, and you could use it for other things other than baseball. You're going to attract other events into the stadium. And as I already said, you're going to have money generated to do the maintenance that you need on the stadium. Plus you're going to have money and for the maintenance of our parks. It's a win-win situation. I just don't, see how anybody can say otherwise. This thing could be used for a variety of events, even during the season and especially in the off season. Once again, if you go back to Civic Stadium, they used it for concerts. And the stadium was built in order to get people's minds off of the Depression. And look what they've used it for 70 years. But then it finally just got run down. And I'm seeing this could happen to our fairgrounds. And I know that under Allen, with this stadium, he is going to attract. It's just the way in which he operates. And you can see it at PK Park. The University of Oregon needed the M's to go in to get PK Park. So it's all positive. Everybody, you're coming out ahead, and the county is really not putting that much out. If I found somebody giving me that type of money and I didn't do anything for it, I'd be really happy about it. And I just jump at the chance to do it. But like I said, I've been coming to the game since 1966 and I enjoy it, but it is family affordable entertainment. And now with Allen running the show, and you look at what he does at PK Park, and you look at the families that come in, you look at how he supports his community, this is going to continue. So that's how I feel about the situation.
Thank you, Mr. Honeycutt. Your testimony will be entered into the public record. At this point, that's all I have signed up for in-person comment here in Harris Hall. And Ms. Jones, can I turn it over to you to handle anyone who has signed up online for the queue?
Yes, thank you, Chair Farr. At this time, I do see that we have someone who has signed up. If you registered for this meeting and you would like to give public comment on this item, please raise your virtual hand and I will call on you and begin public comment. I'm not, actually, Mr. Sart, I'm going to unmute you for a moment and see if you would like to give public comment. I'm not sure, maybe if you can't find your button, one moment. Mr. Sart, would you like to give public testimony during this item?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sorry for, okay. Commissioner Farr, I have no one else signed up. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. That concludes online public comment. Is there anyone else in Harris Hall who wishes to provide public testimony before I close the public hearing? I'll make a note that we do have written testimony that's been submitted as well as the oral testimony. With that, I will close the public hearing and staff response, if any. Very good. Then at this point, I'll turn it over to the board for questions. Commissioner Buck.
I don't have any questions, but just out of transparency, I want to make sure that I state at this meeting and all future meetings regarding this particular subject that I have received campaign donations from DG Elmore, one of the owners of the M's, as well as from hoteliers who may or may not be in support of this particular item. I don't think it's a conflict of interest, but I do think it's prudent since elections just passed.
Thank you for that disclosure, Commissioner Buck. Further comments, questions from the board? I am not seeing any, Mr. Mokrahajski, so we'll take a look at what we have to do today. You've given us a couple of options. You would like us to, option A would be approve the exemption from competitive bidding and authorize the procurement by request. So procedurally, let's see.
A motion to?
I am looking for a motion on. Sorry, bear with me. I'm just getting a number, Vice Chair.
Want me to just make the motion and include it?
Then I will entertain a motion, please.
I will move passage of order 22-06-15-01 in the matter of approving an exemption from competitive bidding, authorizing the procurement by request for qualifications of a design build contractor for the proposed multi-use community facility and delegating authority to county administrator to enter into the necessary agreements.
Second.
Moved by Vice Chair Trieger, seconded by Commissioner Bozievich. For anyone watching online, if you go to our agenda item for today, click view material, you'll see the entire packet that the board has considered before making this motion and before considering the motion. I'll entertain discussion to the motion. I see none. Oh, I beg your pardon, Vice Chair Trieger.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to appreciate staff for the process and bringing it to us in this way. I was listening when Sean Waite was talking about the advantages of this process, and they're all in perfect alignment with what our job is as a board around being more responsive to public input, potentially cost savings, a more expedient and efficient way of doing business. It's not really doing different business than we would through a typical procurement process. It's just a different method of that. I also want to appreciate the many, many people who've reached out to me and to the board generally via email as this process continues. And particularly just wanted to say to Mr. Honeycutt, who made the time to come down here in person and speak to us, appreciate your support. And over time, we'll have some more clarification about how this project, should it move forward, fits in with overall county operations. But appreciate your noticing that our event center has suffered from a little bit of neglect due mostly to resources, but it is still a really vibrant event center and part of our community. We have hundreds of event days a year. We have close to 750,000 visitors to that site each year. So for folks who are feeling like suddenly there's going to be a facility and events happening in a neighborhood where there were none, it's really going to be a new facility with different events and yes, some more people attending, but that's what we want. That's what a vibrant event center looks like, is one that has, at least upgraded, if not state-of-the-art facilities, and over time increasing visitation and all the ancillary and additional benefits to the community that brings. Our event center currently is already booked every single weekend, October to May. So it is very much an active, vibrant center that really could use a little sprucing up and a little little spark, which should this project move forward, it will do not only for the Emeralds, but for many, many other events, as Mr. Honeycutt pointed out, as we've heard from other folks in the community. So still very exciting, still very intriguing, still a long way to go, and really appreciate staff's work to bring us a path forward that's as efficient and given the time constraints. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Trieger. Any further discussion to the motion? Commissioner Bozievich.
Thank you. I just want to remind the public that what we're actually doing today is just proving an exemption of the standard public contracting rules here in Oregon. In some states, you wouldn't even have to go through this process to do design build. This is specific to Oregon's public contracting law. And in order to do a non-standard, which is the typical design, first you get an architect in place and get a design done, then you bid that design by low bid, and then you build it, design, bid, build. That's the way our public contracting laws are set up, which doesn't always work well. And sometimes we've used CMGC work, and sometimes we've used design build work for some of our projects. Design build offers that unique opportunity to work back and forth with the people that are actually going to build the facility and designers to get the best thing you can, and to work features in that the community wants. In particular, there's a lot of concern about light pollution and noise pollution from this facility. And working in that design build environment is a much better way to try and deal with those issues and provide those attenuations that we want. So I'm really supportive of approving this exemption. Again, as staff has noted and we've noted previously, this isn't the final decision to go no go on the stadium, but it's part of the timeline we have to keep on. But it's a smart move to approve the exemption because it's the best way to get a facility that addresses community concerns and gets us something in value, because it also design build offers a lot of opportunity for value engineering. I know I've sat where the staff is asking eWeb's board to waive public contracting law for those sort of projects. So as an engineer. So it's, this is not new. It's kind of surprising that Oregon hasn't modernized their public contracting law, so we don't have to go through this every time we want to use this process. So just wanted to explain that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Bozievich, for that explanation. And I'll add a couple of things, Ms. Morgarcy. I'll direct them at you. First thing I'll mention is from your staff, Mr. Corey Buller is with us today, who is the Event Center Fairgrounds Manager. Corey, thank you for being here this morning. And from our staff, Jim Cheney from our council office is also with us. And I'd like to say hello to Mr. Benavides for being here this morning and engaging with us throughout this process. Nothing final today, and I'm reading the order in front of me. It confirms there's nothing final today other than granting you the authority aforementioned. And I'd like to say that the last whereas in the order, which anyone can follow, it says, whereas it is necessary to engage a design build contractor early in order to receive an independent and realistic budget and timeline for planning and completion of the facility. That's what we're voting on today. There'll be more discussion, more voting as we move forward. Some of the votes may be yes, some of the votes may be no. Today, I'm going to call for the vote, and we'll see what happens. So I will call for the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Passes 4-0 with Commissioner Joe Berney excused absent. Thank you very much for today's meeting. Looking forward to the process because it's going to be very enlightening, and I'm particularly interested in seeing how this goes. So, Mr. Mokrajski, anything further for the order of this morning's agenda?
No.
That being said, at the sound of my gavel, we will be in recess until 1:30 when we'll return in a regular session as a Board of County Commissioners.
33, according to